to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hi, y'all. I'm Karista, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self. We are here today to bring you more information.
We're going to call this an informational episode with lots of info to be informed for some more information.
Mation.
Mation.
So we're feeling a little goofy today. We've had some time to relax this weekend and just rejuvenate and connect with our energies. And we have been working on our own energies and just stuff that's been coming up that's old, junk that we have, neglected to deal with. And so we feel like because these things keep coming up, it's relevant to go ahead and look at them. So we wanted to chat with you today about reprogramming old ways of thinking.
I kind of need that like button right now that pew, 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 you know? like like this ish should come with a warning.
Yeah, it should always come with a warning. Come on, guides. Like, where is our trigger warning at?
Man, I mean, it's just been a freaking roller coaster. I'm not even gonna lie, and that's one thing Mount Glass has been very verbal about. 2022 is a time to really look at transmuting and receiving all the things that you have decided to push way, way back
And
into your
down
and
and
down.
brush it under the rug so you don't have to look at it.
It's like, oh no, I'm still freaking here. And now it's
Oh,
time
yeah.
for you to face me and transmute me. And
Yeah.
that does not
And
always feel good. So,
nope. How many times have you tripped over that rug that you have brushed that shit under?
a lot, a
Yes.
lot this past week. This has been a week
Me
of
too.
rug tripping. It's like, oh, what's that? Did you leave that shard of glass under your rug? Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Did you no longer want to step on it and cut your foot over and over again? Here I am. Come
Well,
clean me
then
out.
it's time to heal and
Yeah.
it's time to release and it's time to create new programming that works better for you.
Or an,
Yay!
or an old school saying would be called face the music.
And how true that is. And it's tough music to face. But, I think it's really important to recognize when you start seeing patterns of things coming up and forward and smacking you in the face, then it's time to deal with them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to keep smacking you in the face.
And we've said this. We've said this on several of our previous episodes. When these things are repeated and they're repeated to you over and over again,
Mhm.
whether you want to look at it or not, it is for a reason. It's kind of like learn your freaking lesson day around here. It's just this is something you need to take a look at. This is why it's being presented to you. And sometimes it requires us to take that step back and say, what is it that I'm needing to learn in this moment?
Mhm.
And sometimes when you're in it, and we know this all too well, when you're sitting in it and you're in the midst of whatever traumas that you're dealing with, whatever emotional roller coaster you're on, it is a really hard thing to practice deprogramming yourself from
Mhm.
what behaviors and thought processes you used to have, and take a minute to zoom out, step back, and ask that question. Let's find a way to get through this by asking, what do I need to learn from this moment?
Mhm.
What is this eventually, which it normally always is, for your highest good?
Mhm. Mhm. I know one thing that I like to do when I'm feeling in it, right? I can feel like a lot of stress and anxiety. I can feel a lot of like muscle tension, like throughout my entire body. I recognize that my breath is shallow and quick. And so, one thing that I like to do when I'm in those moments is actually just place my hand on my heart and ask myself, what do I need to feel right now?
Yeah.
And body, what can I learn from this?
Mm.
And just placing my hand on my heart reminds me to be heart centered in receiving that information.
I was just
and
about to say that,
receiving, yes, that information from a place of love for yourself.
which was another thing Mountain Glass was talking about. I mean, even though we're well, like totally in the month of February and everything's like love, 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 love everywhere,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm.
heck, our freaking name is called Love Always Self. So we're gonna talk about this. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of those things where you're just like, there's been studies done that when you physically touch something like on your body or whatnot, that it actually draws your energy to that location because it's all like, oh, that's where I need to put my focus at.
Mhm,
Um, they've even said, like the meditation and prayer hands,
mhm,
why it's
mhm.
actually focused, into the chest
Yeah,
area,
yeah,
to draw your focus and your energy into that
and
one place.
even just tapping too, if you need a little
Mm,
extra feel, like signaling,
yeah,
I'm just sitting here tapping right at the center of my chest, right at my heart center.
yeah.
Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah. It
EFT.
just feels nice too. Mhm.
Understood.
Yeah.
So, how do we deprogram? How do we go about removing these programmings?
Mhm, mhm,
Because especially when you're going through, your journey, and you're starting to discover more things about yourself, and you start to, really dive in and ask those kind of questions that really kind of kickstart you into a moment of self discovery on how you behave, how you react, how you
mhm,
feel about all the things. You realize that some of the things that you have reacted to, um, has been a taught behavior in the past, something you learned to do, which is what a lot of people call programming, right?
mhm, mhm,
So I know for myself, I had a behavior of being, I don't know, like a little bit more reactionary.
mhm,
If something triggered me or something upset me, my instantaneous reaction would just be to get upset, right?
mhm.
Um, and sometimes that still happens. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I just react. Normally when I'm driving, but still, like that's but then there's this like, wait a minute, let's just take a moment, put your hand on your heart, you know, focus from a place of love. And my class is also talking about 2022 was going to be a year of living in a more heart-centered space.
Mhm,
And that does go hand in hand with also 2022 being a year of focusing and on transmuting and all these little things that you've been burying deep down inside coming to the surface to be transmuted so you can work through them,
mhm,
but you're
mhm,
going to want to do that from a more heart-centered space. So I can see
mhm.
how those two things are very much so tied together.
Yeah, yeah. I think, one of the first things that is important in this is first recognizing those patterns and those triggers. So, in like the medical field, it's good to get a baseline set of labs. So, at this moment in time, getting a baseline of where you are at emotionally, spiritually, physically, and just connecting with that without having to change anything in this moment, just saying, where am I at? What do I need to address? And it's a reflection process. We talk about reflection frequently, but if we are not willing to see the things, then we can't do the work.
Right. Right.
So reflection, I think that's where we start. And, just wanting to create this happier, more joyful, loving existence. So using that as a catalyst to start evaluating, what is no longer working for me in this moment.
Yeah. I saw somebody post on social media about working through, their traumas and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
they had posted something very specific, and somebody had commented down below and said, "I'm not ready to face that right now, but thank you for posting this." I
Mhm.
was like, "Well, you're at least acknowledging it." But I have to tell you, when I saw the comment, I was kind of like, brace, because it's gonna keep coming to you, so you can face it.
Yeah.
And it shows
Y
up in weird ways. It sometimes it will be a little different than the first instance, right? Like, it's not always the same thing over and over again, but they're similar beat.
I just
So
got this imagery of a woman and her purse.
Okay, let's hear
And
this.
all the stuff we stick in the purse
Mm,
and how messy and, unorganized it gets in there to where we're having to like pull stuff out and just to find, the lip gloss that's at the bottom or the tampon that's at the bottom, whatever it is that you're needing to find. And it's like all these other things are getting in the way. And
mm,
so it's needing to take those things out. And, you know, granted, when you're ready, right? Good for them for acknowledging that they're not feeling in the space for it.
right.
Um, but it takes looking at those things, cleaning out the purse so that you're not having to carry this load, this burdensome load that's causing all these aches and pains in your body. Because that's really what happens with trauma is the trauma is stored in our body and creates this dis-ease, this imbalance in our body. So if you're not ready, okay, but know that it's impacting your body at the physical level. So you're
Yep.
making that conscious or an educated decision
Yeah.
about not dealing with it yet.
Right.
We're not
And
saying it's easy.
no, no.
It's work.
I like this purse analogy. I was just thinking about like, how we used to have these like really large, some people probably still do, oversized purses and you just fill
Mhm.
it all up. And you're
Mhm.
carrying this thing around. You're like, oh my goodness. And, granted, I'm with fashion like most people are and love the looks of some of these things. But then you've got all this stuff and you're right. And you're digging around, you're digging around. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna start wearing a smaller purse. But
Mhm.
have you ever noticed it is just as complicated to sift through the smaller purse? It
If you
just
still keep putting shit in there, yeah, and not taking other things out.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I like that. It was good.
Thanks. Well, then you realize that you're carrying stuff that you no longer need.
Mhm.
Which again, why we're bringing up the transmutation process, this reprogramming process. We've talked about in previous episodes how the majority of our programming actually gets installed by the time that we reach age 7.
Yeah.
So there's a whole world of things that we haven't even learned about yet.
Yep.
And it might be contradicting these old programmings. And recognizing that those limiting beliefs are no longer working to support you in your growth, that's when we start working on these things. That's when we start recognizing, okay, I need new programming. I want to feel this way. What do I need to do to get from here to here?
Okay.
One of the things that, I start thinking about is, well, what does this person, the person that I want to feel like, what do they do in
Yep.
their lives so I can start implementing them and reflecting that image so I can start moving
And
to meet
becoming.
that.
Right.
And becoming. Yes.
That's right. That's I mean, that right there is one of the key mechanisms of creating your new reality too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is to become that thing, that image of self that you
Mhm.
are trying to obtain
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
and
It's
gravitate towards.
manifestation,
Mhm.
right? Manifestation starts with thinking and evaluating and visualizing what you want. But there's the action portion.
Yeah.
So what actions can you take to mimic what this looks like so that you can actually reach that goal?
Well, speaking of shamelessly plugging in goals here, please don't forget to hit that like button, follow, subscribe.
Absolutely, absolutely.
you you can also get a lot more content, little juicy tidbits from us, including messages from Mountain Glass by
Mhm.
going on our Instagram, which is at Love Always Self. You're
Great shameless
welcome.
plug. I love it.
Shameless plug. Somebody told me I needed to do that more throughout our episode, and I was like, fine, I'll throw it in there.
There it is. So I think one of the things that I am working on, or not just working on with me, but I would like ideally to see happening is us stepping out of this belief that love is limited, that you need to protect what love you have. And it's only reserved for the few that earn it. That's bullshit.
It is bullshit, and I had just had this conversation with you,
Sorry, I have a dog hair on my face.
Wee!
I can just see it.
Hate it when that happens.
I still
Or when,
see
like, a fuzzy
it.
flies by your face and you just kinda go cross-eyed, like, staring at it while it goes by, forgetting that there's a camera, you know? So, anyway, um speaking of drive-bys, this is if I say one thing that resonates to anyone out there, to even myself, to even you, if I say this one thing, I hope this sinks in above anything else. Love is. Love is. It's not a to-do list. It's not a demand. It doesn't come from somebody else to you. It just exists.
It's not a condition. It's not an expectation.
Correct.
Love is just love. And love is limitless. I mean, how can you deny that love isn't everywhere? We were made from love, which means that we are infused with love, which means love is never lost and you are never without love.
It is only your beliefs, your perceptions, and your programming that has told you otherwise. And that's the part that we want to break down.
Mhm. I would really love to see people expressing love more regularly without fear, without needing it back,
Yeah.
just sending it out there and letting it amplify all on its own.
Pew, pew, pew.
It doesn't have to be this big,
I had
grandiose
to. Sorry.
expression because love is just love.
I mean, it can be it's in everything. We're built from that. That's the thing, right? Like that, it just is. It's part of the I am. It is God. It is us. We are part of that. It's in every single, atmosphere. It's in the frequencies, it's in the vibrations, it's in everything. And finding that out, discovering that, just getting a little taste of it, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's been around this whole
Mhm.
entire time, and it was just me blocking me from experiencing it."
Mhm. There's a lot of people that may lose sight of the love that's in them and all around them,
Yeah,
which is why it's so just valuable to be
right.
able to share expressions of love with strangers, with anyone. And it doesn't have to be, hey man, I love you. It can be. I think that'd be a really cool thing to start doing. Guy at the bus stop, hey, love you, man.
I've seen this on TikTok where people
Yeah,
are, like,
yeah,
just driving by, roll their window down,
yeah,
"Hey, you look amazing, and I love you," and they just
yeah.
drive off, and you just see the light up on the other person's
Yes,
face, like,
yes.
"Man, thanks." You
Be
know?
seen
Uh,
and acknowledge just so beautiful. So
it
I would
is.
love to see that. But, it could just be giving a compliment, expressing appreciation. Hey, thanks for opening that door. It
There's
doesn't
that
have to
intention
be.
again.
Yeah.
There's that intention again.
So
Love
we
it.
are setting the intention in 2022 to heal and amplify love.
Right from the
Pew, pew,
heart.
pew, pew.
Get on my level. Yes. Oh man, we need a theme song.
I mean, we have our
Oh, we
Do
have
you want
our
to build a
opening.
snowman?
Why does that light me up every time? Every time. I think of the little girl laying on the floor, with her feet crisscrossing, like, come on and play. you know, like, it's amazing. Just, just gets me. Gets my
Oh.
child. That child in me that wants to come out and play. Let's do this.
I think you should listen to that. Listen to her.
I know. I know.
Well, and that's another reprogramming thing. Age.
Mm.
Act to your
Mhm.
age.
Where?
I want to go just give you the bird. Like, what is my age and how should I act? Because I disagree. Because we're
Have you
playful, you're saying I'm not mature.
don't care.
What is maturity? Is maturity not being able to play?
That will require individuals to stop, drop, and roll on their judgment. Hands down.
Let it go.
See?
Let it go.
It requi it freaking requires the removal of judgment towards others and how they want and express their happiness and
Mhm,
love and gratitude and everything else, right? I mean, there's so much of that that goes around.
mhm,
You were talking about boxes earlier today,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Explain that because I
Yeah,
loved what you were saying.
yeah. We the programming, right? That is instilled in us at a young age is these are boxes that are created as far as where we fit in society. So if you are not staying in your box, then you're receiving a bunch of judgment and resentment, and you're not acting right.
Mm.
Well, I think it's time to step out of those boxes and just step into you.
A flow, a
Yeah.
fluid flow of just who
What
you
makes
are
you,
when
yeah. What makes you happy? What lights your fire? How do you express yourself? How do you want to express yourself? How do you want to feel? Let's bring that in. Do you want to play? Well, then play because it's so joyful. It's so fun. It makes you laugh, being silly and goofy rather than proper and a lady. I've
we
got
don't wear
the
those corsets anymore. What the hell?
I'm so goofy today.
We're on a roll. We're on a roll.
Yeah,
Stick
yeah.
around.
I just think it's, the boxes are limiting, right? Those are just other ways of, you know, uh, describing limiting beliefs
Yeah.
and patterns that no longer work for us. And these are old patterns developed by society decades and decades ago that's perpetuated through generation to generation. And it may work, it may have worked at one point. But if we are growing and constantly evolving, then we cannot expect to stay in the same old box.
Nope.
Nor do I think we should create new ones.
Exact. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that because so many times when one box goes down, another one gets built. And, that is the thing that maybe makes me want to go into a tailspin every time.
Mhm,
There's a
mhm.
trigger for you, right? Like,
Like for example, the gender roles, right? I'm not saying any specific choice of who you love is right or wrong. I think love is love and that everybody is made from love and that we should be allowed to love whomever we want. But or and when we start extending all these labels, right? It's still creating new little boxes rather than
mm.
just having fluidity
So for
or
my
just accepting, right? Sorry.
right. No, it's okay.
Like, great, love.
I still just want to see a world that, and I don't care if this is like some kind of dreamscape in my head that you're like, oh man, she's got like a lot of dreams in her head. Great. Good. I want to
Keep
because
dreaming.
that's how things get made, right?
Yeah.
That's how we create. Starts
Mhm.
off with an idea, doesn't it? So I would just like to see a place where everyone says, oh, well, I don't feel really aligned to that particular point of view, but good for you. Go on with your bad self, right? Let it go.
It's
Let it
like,
go from
I
that
don't
point.
care how you feel like you need to label yourself. I just want to accept you as you.
Right. Done.
Okay. Cool. Love you.
Bye.
Ugh,
Awesome.
okay. Yeah. So I again, Love is love. Stop trying to wrangle it and shove it into a little box. It is so much more expansive than that. It is limitless, and the box is freaking limited. So let's pull it out of the box and let's spread it all around and let's share
Sprinkle.
it. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle.
Pixie dust.
Ooh, love bombs.
Love bombs. Love pixie dust bombs. Yes. Like glitter. You can't get it off.
Yes. It's all over your face. It's in your eyes and under your nails constantly.
It's everywhere.
And it is. Love is everywhere. You just need to maybe turn around a little, look in a slightly different direction. Open your eyes, open your heart, and just receive because we're sending it out to you every day.
All day, every day. Okay.
All right, guys. We hope that you just find ways to expand the love in your life and to really supercharge it and allow it to be in your being and find the joy of you being you. And let's work on reprogramming and getting rid of these old patterns that are no longer serving us, that are no longer helping us in our growth. And let's create some new ones and let's have fun doing it, guys.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And if you like what we're saying, because I'm going to shamelessly plug us again,
Yeah,
then
let's
go
do it.
ahead and like, subscribe, and follow. We're also on Instagram at Love Always Self, and we also have a website, www.lovealwaysself.com. All that's linked
And
down below.
alrighty, y'all. We have one more episode remaining of our mini series, The People's Journey, for this February. And we are super excited about this guest, Alexa Jad. She is one of the co hosts of Inner Bloom podcast, and we are so excited to have her on. She has absolutely been, her and Ambi have absolutely been one of the leading factors in this dream to create this podcast and this community. So, we are just thrilled to present to you this interview that will be premiering on February 25th. So please check that out because you are not going to want to miss this episode.
Woo!
Don't forget to love first
Love last.
and love always. We hope you guys have a wonderful day. Mwah.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista.
And I'm Shyra.
And until next time, remember to love first,
Love last,
and love always. Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.